Let's start the motherfucking show.
Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Man, we got a damn good show for y'all today, man. Damn good show. I think this is going to be one of the best. We got one hell of a show for y'all today, man. Got a good show. We got a good show for y'all today, man. We got a damn good show. Man, we got a damn good show for y'all, man. Good show. We got a damn good show for y'all today, man. We got a damn good show. A damn good show.
There was a whole complaint going around that the Winter Olympics, I don't know if we covered it, were not ethnically diverse enough. And they're trying to engineer that to make sure that there are more black people in winter sports. Got it. We have to, look, we made some mistakes. I saw 12 Years a Slave. We need some more black people in leotards.
How racist is that?
I know.
How racist is that? When I watch the Olympics, I would like to see the Mandingo on the skis. There are no black people to entertain me. Please,
The problem with the Swedish ski team is there are too many Swedes. Blacks, you say?
They blend into the
So that brings us to this. This year, the Winter Olympics are already off to a scandal-plagued start, specifically involving peni.
There have been reports in the German press and in America that ski jumpers are now thinking about enlarging their genital areas by injecting hyaluronic acid. Again, the idea is it improves the dynamics and allows ski jumpers to go further.
It's science.
Any takers for that?
I'm not aware of the details of ski jumping and
Liar.
and how this can improve. But we if anything was to come to the surface, we would look at anything if
Surface.
it is actually doping related. We don't do other means of enhancing performance, but our list committee would certainly look into whether this would fall into this category. But we haven't heard about that.
Why is his last name all caps?
Hyaluronic acid, Bigger Johnson, you say? This brings us to Gerald Knows Sports.
God damn. Poor Gerald.
I was disappointed to find that just rubbing it doesn't do anything.
No, you gotta
It's supposed to help with the crack.
You gotta get one of these.
Yes. Oh,
God
okay.
damn.
Is that the Swedish one?
That makes sense.
No, this is American made. You can tell by the length.
All right.
Yeah,
Gerald,
but the
explain it to
Swedish
people who don't know.
design, yeah.
So what they're doing is these suits are very tight, right? You have to put the suits on, and then the ski jumpers is jump in the suits. And so if you get a little bit more of a sail, you're going to go a little bit further.
Right, because they do this.
So that, yeah, exactly.
They go like
do
this. They go, yeah.
like that. Yeah. So they basically enlarge their junk.
Okay.
And then it goes back down after the suit fitting. And so now they have a little bit bigger. And you may think, oh, well, what's that really going to do? Well, it actually can add meters. Just 2 extra centimeters in the suit's crotch can add several meters to the jump.
Because it acts like a sail.
It does.
And the measurement, when they do the measurements when you're wearing your underwear.
Right.
And so what they're doing is wearing like a sheath and putting, I guess,
That in
hyaluronic
between.
acid in that sheath. So I guess it's flesh, like kind of like silicone, something like that.
Bulges
so that
up.
the measurement, it forces those who are observing this or whoever
Yes.
doing the analysis, they give you more fabric, which can act as a sail.
I feel like there's better ways to do that than injecting your penis with something like you.
Well,
could,
you
No,
don't
they're injecting it into a sheath.
But I'm gonna make a couple of questionable wagers and say Africa is going to be starting doing really well in the Winter Olympics again. Like I said, Cool Runnings was not just a myth; it is a reality. We can make this dream come true, ladies and gentlemen.
And putting it around their wiener.
Yes.
Oh, I
So
was
they're not
saying-
actually injecting.
Okay. Because I was thinking, I was like, you could just use a prosthetic or just grow that bush.
Yeah, that's kind of, well, no, it's the lowest point of where it hangs is what determines how much room you need. So basically, the lower the, genitals hang. You can check the references. This is real. Check them all as we do every single show. The more fabric you get, the more of a sail you have.
In 2025, there was obviously a Norwegian ski jumper team. They were, rocked by a scandal. I don't know. It's ski jumping. You just go really far and it looks cool. But it was a suit altering scandal. So people do this. They're looking for any edge that they can get.
Yeah.
It's part of the deal.
Yeah.
You want your crotch to be a little bit bigger no matter what it's for.
Yeah, I understand.
This sounds like a method John Candy would use to get his team to do better.
Yes, exactly. That's what that would. But although, honestly, the people who would need it the least would be the Jamaican bobsled
why would you
team.
need?
Yeah,
They're
that guy had
already-
an egg in there.
Yeah, they're already starting at an advantage.
Feel the
What would you
rhythm.
do? Question to you: what would
Feel
you
the
do
rhyme.
if you were going out for the Olympics? You wanted to win a medal. Wouldn't you do anything?
Shante, like I keep saying, please be patient. Our moms did take Tylenol, but this is science. This is scientific. We're talking about yaw. We're talking about angles here. Talking about sales or some shit like that. Anyways, right? We're talking about real shit here, Shante. We're talking about real shit.
Anything that it takes. And hey, putting on a rubber with a little bit of hyaluronic acid in there, like that. What's that? That's certainly not anywhere near as severe as doping.
Yeah, and then when it comes time to compete, you tuck that sucker back.
Yep.
Right.
Buffalo
Temporary
Bill style.
wiener swelling.
And now you already have a sale. So you know what? Hey, you're not breaking the rules. You're really just bending them. It's their fault for not stripping you down like Shawshank and going
We're
up your body
pirates.
with a flashlight. This has been Gerald Knows Sports.
It's like sports and shit.
Hey, if you're still watching this,
You know what I mean? Like this is scientific, Shante. Okay? There was like chemicals being used. There's some sort of like aerodynamicist equations being applied to the situation. This is real shit. You know, we only discuss the most serious of serious topics here. You know what I mean? Wait, John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. His name is my name too. Whenever we go out, the people always shout, "Get the fuck back to the fucking show, you leprechaun." And folks, we're staying on theme with the Olympics. This time we're talking about the T's. Super serious and super important. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Don't worry, Shante. Don't worry, appreciate you. Like I said, that's the whole vibe here. You know what I'm saying? I try to do videos. You guys roast me when I do the videos. It's a symbiotic relationship.
winner of the world's strongest woman 2025
All right, show me that.
is a man.
We done? Okay, good. Bye.
That's what I think now. Because only women have voted for this.
Yeah.
Across demographics, across races, men have repeatedly said, no, it's not right, it's not fair. You have this because of feminism. Women, you need to start policing your own. So does it suck? Sure. I don't care anymore. Enjoy yourselves. All right, this next story is pretty fun. The
very
winner of the world's strongest woman 2025
Yeah. All right, show me that.
is a man.
Oh,
And let me just real quick play the video.
Move this man!
Boo him and call him a man.
love her response.
We done? Okay, good. Bye.
That's right.
I genuinely did not expect this outcome.
Oh my
And
god.
I'm not saying that in a way to.
She might have balls, Your Honor.
Oh, he definitely has balls.
When I signed up for this competition, I did not expect to win. It was a pipe dream. Obviously, everyone enters competition wanting to win.
Shut the fuck up.
But I did not think that this would be the one for me. And the fact that it is. I'm genuinely at a loss for words.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd win, but sometimes you just gotta rock out with your out. Am I right?
He's making the point. I didn't even try, and it just happened.
Yeah, but no, and by the way, that is true. This is Jamie Booker, and this is Jamie Booker's first and only appearance in the World's Strongest Woman Challenge,
Bruh.
which he won immediately.
I'd be so pissed if I was second place.
It should just be the man with the lowest testosterone, the weakest man. That should be the competition. Who can get their testosterone the lowest and still win a weightlifting?
And he beat the other woman by 1 point, I guess.
Not even a strong.
No, not even that. I don't know if that lady, if that actual lady walked off the podium.
Well, lady.
If that's what it was. She was upset.
So people said that she said something, and
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Exactly, Shante. And like Crowder even highlighted, this is the first dude, the first competition this dude signed up to, and he fucking was. Oh, I wasn't expecting to win. Shut the fuck up.
actually hear the audio in any of the clips, but it sounded like she's like.
Maybe we could have that lady on, because here's what I'd like to do with that lady. I'd like to grab her face and go, okay, you see you're upset? You see you're upset? We told you! We told you this was happening. We warned you, and you voted for it anyway. Hey, you want to show us your voting record? This is people ask me. I've changed my mind on this. Let the games begin. That's what I think now, because only women have voted for this.
Yeah.
Across demographics, across races, men have repeatedly said, no, it's not right, it's not fair. You have this because of feminism. Women, you need to start policing your own. So does it suck? Sure. I don't care anymore. Enjoy yourselves.
Turns out South Park was right again.
Yeah. Well, by the way, this
we have
Booker
to police
person,
this too, though. Apparently.
Yeah, did not disclose trans status beforehand to competitors and organizers.
Oh.
And to be fair,
that's something.
It would be tough to tell, because even though they claim that they drug test, like this is one where the lines are definitely blurred, because a lot of the women, no doubt, are taking anabolics, and then this guy has anabolics.
Check the undercarriage.
Well, I mean, who wants to sign up for that job?
Miss, could you turn your head and cough?
Yes.
Fish hooks.
Like, it's a fair point Crowder brings up here. Like, when you look at like these female bodybuilders and like the amount of like testosterone and all this kind of shit that these bitches are on, you know what I mean? It's very difficult to delineate between like are these bitches going to become men? You know what I mean? Is that what's going on here?
Archaic method. It's a byproduct of the patriarchy. Go over there, get my stogies. Make yourself useful. Have to go lift an Atlas stone.
So here's the thing. We did some digging, and you can find this, but this video this morning, when we grabbed it, it only had like 2,000 something plays. So I don't think a lot of people were aware of this. This is how we were able to confirm the trans status. It was a video uploaded by Booker himself, where he also, by the way, claims to be a victim of abuse.
Thank you, Shante.
I'm a 21-year-old trans woman with a history of abuse, struggling to stay true to herself while under the rule of her religious parents.
And we were able to confirm that. In fact, Jammer did spend some time at a safe halfway house.
Washing machine's fucked.
Wasn't the most popular among the other battered women.
You did say lady before. I don't think that applies.
Did I say
woman? Yeah, not lady. Lady's a little. It implies finishing school of some degree.
Tough. But here's the funny thing too, is then you compare this. I remember maybe we could pull this. I had Chael Sonnen, UFC middleweight and light heavyweight contender. I had him on this show, I want to say 2014, 2015. This is back when Fallon Fox was a story, and we were covering this on the website before anyone else had really picked it up. And he said, well, now you're going to have to open this up, and you're going to have a bunch of men who will disguise themselves or portray themselves as women to win championship belts. I said, well, hold on a second, Chael. Are you saying that you believe there are actually men who will change or claim to change their gender simply to win a title? He said, yes, that's correct. There are plenty of men who will do that. They want this more than anything. There are people who would give up their lives, who would give up family members to be champion for a day. Claiming to be a woman is certainly in the cards. You will see this. And he was right.
Would they give up their balls?
Well, they don't have to. That's the beauty of it. They don't have to. They don't have to. You just have to check a box. And let me give you some context here. I would suggest that that's what's happening. So Jimmy Booker did this log press. It was a 1 rep max at 250 pounds. Okay. That was what I believe won that event.
It's impressive.
The world's strongest man, 7 reps at 352 pounds. 7 reps at 352 pounds. Jamie Booker, actually set, as I understand it, the unofficial world record for world's strongest woman with a 10-meter yoke walk of 785 pounds.
Reset. Big breath. Breathe into all those right places. You got it. Come on. Smooth, fast. You gotta go. There you go. There you go. There you go. Come on.
Billy.
Yeah. 785 pounds. Now, the men's 10-meter yoke walk, the world record, is 1,224 pounds.
Jeez.
So this is simply a lesser man.
Right.
Beating the best women.
By a nose.
By a nose. And I think, by the way, he was sharking it. He stayed behind, and in the very last event, all right, and then just blew him out of the water.
What does he weigh?
You know what? That's a good question. Let's Barker it. Let's carnival Barker it because we have a montage coming up. Here is Jamie Barker, the world's strongest woman. For those of you who missed it, well, you know what? It's a good thing to take a human interest and learn more about the man behind the woman.
How do we feel about buff women in a high slit dress?
Jesus Christ.
And I look elegant with my wings.
Do you know what I mean? Because do you know what I mean? It's unbelievable, and that's why like Crowder's like making a point where it's like there's no like proper men out there that's like voting for this shit. Do you know what I mean? This is all like this weird, fucked up like mental illness and like just like delusion. Do you know what I mean? The same delusion they're saying, oh, you could take Brock Lesnar. You have no idea. Do you know what I mean?
Are you for girls? You one of us? And I'm like, how could I possibly make it more?
Hassan Piker head.
Strong that tip of the day. Kissing girls actually makes you way stronger. I just got.
Oh, so he still likes women. So it's a fetish. This is a fetish.
Bricks and PRs.
We talked about buff girls in dresses, but what about buff girls in girly PJs?
Perverts.
Hi. Love, lift us up where we belong.
I released these new images, and I want you to take a look at them.
Nope, sorry, I can't see them. My insurance doesn't cover vision, so.
Well, unfortunately, it covers ours.
I'm going to say 260.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, it.
Do we still have to act like this is anything other than a fetish that they're living out in public?
I know, that's what I thought. I was like, oh, hold on. So you're a man pretending to be a woman dating a woman. So you're straight.
Right.
I'm a dude playing another dude. I'm a dude who's playing a dude who's playing another dude. I mean, like, we're literally living in Tropic Thunder, folks. You know what I mean? Unbelievable.
And confused about a lot of other things.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I like to wear women's panties. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that I understand all the splendor that is woman.
Yeah. You still have a penis, though, right?
I
Is that off the table in makeout sessions?
I wasn't a woman till I stopped by at Talbot's Outlet Mall.
Okay. Yes. Oh boy.
Gosh.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah, easy 260.
I think I'm gonna
feels-
fucking puke.
He looks pretty tall in that doorway, and
You and your hate speech can suck my balls, Gerald.
Chat referred to him as Louise Ferrigno.
That's good. But you don't use terms like PR, a personal record, personal best, or whatever, unless you're training for this thing. And then he says, I'm surprised. I didn't expect to win. Come on. You've been preparing to do this.
Yeah.
Like you said. And then lay back in the last event, smoke everybody.
And invariably, you'll have some feminists show up and go, can you do what these strong women did? No.
Of course not.
Sure, of course not. Okay, because this is what they did. Like some of these women are stronger than the average man. Now, across the board, the average man is significantly stronger than the average woman, and the strongest woman is generally not as strong as the average man. It's not fair. It's not right. We had men and women's divisions forever for a reason, and you comment below. I've changed my opinion on this. I think we should just let the games begin.
I have a test for him. One pull up. Just give us one.
Yeah.
Full hang, pull up, chin over the bar. Can
I
you
bet
do
you.
it?
I bet you. Dennis,
I don't think so. I don't
it's
think
a guy.
So. He's pretty gelatinous. It's a dude.
So for those of you Gen Z, like, you have to
It's a
understand,
fat
this is
dude,
it's
bro.
the dismissive nature. That's the sense of humor of the boomer.
It
It's like,
is.
he's gelatinous. That's a guy.
It's a fella.
It's a fella.
Yeah.
I mean, Eddie Hall struggled with the pull-ups because it's like 500 pounds.
Yeah, pull-ups are tough. Women, it's
And then he grabs 1,000 off the floor.
very few women can do pull-ups. And it's always funny that more men have walked on the moon than women on Earth have dunked. That's it. I don't need to make any other argument.
Well, what makes you say that men are...
More male humans have walked on the moon than females on Earth have dunked a basketball. Women, start voting correctly. Otherwise, it only gets worse for
Or
you.
start dunking, one of the two.
Yeah. Speaking
That'll
of,
make things fine.
That is one small step for man. No, who's the gal that went to prison in Russia? She could dunk, couldn't she?
No.
Griner. No?
Brittany Griner? No. I
At
don't think so.
6'8", she couldn't.
I
Come
don't know
on.
if she could dunk.
That's a bunny hop for her.
Possible.
That's a
I
good
think
question.
she's a dude.
I mean, you really look at like games, like can you like because we all used to try to like see if we could dunk and dunking, like when nobody's around and you have 75 feet to run up and get, like dunk or whatever. Yeah, but in a game doing it, that's a different story.
How hilarious would it be if this what was her name? Jammy was like a really petty poor sport, like
traveling. You see that? She took an extra step on the Atlas Stone. You can count on me waiting for you in the parking lot.
I'm not here to talk about my transition.
So here it is. So 12 men have walked on the moon, and in game, 9 women have dunked a basketball in the WNBA.
9 women have dunked a basketball.
So it's true by 3.
There you go.
There we go. You can change this, ladies.
Oh, it's just a social construct.
You need 4 more to take the record.
You're still here.
It's interesting when you use data points, all that kind of stuff, you know? The comparisons one can make. But anyways, Jonathan says, lesbians are weird. I've had a few at parties just tried to grab me by my pants loop or waist and try to manhandle me, scared the fuck out of me. But, like, that's an interesting thing that kind of gets emulated. That, like, the whole kind of like, I'd rather be with a bear than a strange bear than a strange man in the woods. Do you know what I mean? It's lesbians that propagate that shit. You know what I mean? Because then, and why do they do that? Because then they can be the creepy ones and then have you look like staring for ghosts and shit. You know what I mean? It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I've never once had a guy try to just swoop me up when I wasn't even talking to them, but women will try to just stick their tongue down your throat, but men are the aggressive ones. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So, like, who is truly emulating this male stereotype where he's, like, picking up girls that don't want to be picked up and all this kind of shit? Where does that hatred of the male image come from? And then you look at like all these anti-Western rallies that are like scattered across America, Europe, Australia, all the stuff. Who's leading them? Middle-aged lesbians, essentially. William says $12 in the Ko-Fi or $5 super chats. That is right, folks. You have about 35 minutes left if you want to extend the show by another hour. Otherwise, we'll be wrapping up. Like I said, I think we've perfected this, the grift. I'm fairly happy with it. So, like I said, you're always getting something for hitting a goal. You know what I mean? That's the main thing. And like I said, we can do the 12 through Ko-Fi. That'll get the extension going. Otherwise, like I said, we can wrap up. But more from our boy Stephen Crowder. We're catching up on Crowder a lot, courtesy of our boy William. Shout outs to William. We're staying on the Olympics. Or athletes in general. Let's get into it.
I've worked in fashion since I was 14, so continuing to do that and explore the intersection of femininity and power, of self-expression, has just been just as fulfilling. And, you know, I like to joke that I picked my 3 favorite things in the world: skiing, education, and fashion. And somehow made it a job.
And betraying your country.
I don't know what job title this is, but I feel like the luckiest girl in the world to be able to do all 3 at the same time.
You are.
I just like to say I'm a college student who happens to be really athletic.
You're a traitor.
Period.
You're a traitor. Eileen Gu.
I said this the other day. I was like, man, well, nobody's really talking about it. And then it blew up. I'm sorry. It wasn't my comment that blew up. It was just people started covering it. And now we have to talk about it. We don't like her at all.
It's always the left who loves using capitalism as a way to actually subvert our society.
Yeah.
It's always those same people who, you know, they espouse socialism, but then they buddy up with China, for example, places like Canada, right? Why? Well, why? Because of commerce. They just need a trading partner. And now you have someone, as a perfect example, and you tell me if you think that this person qualifies for treason. I think it's close, if not there. This American-born skier, Eileen Gu, made $23 million through being a traitor.
Chump change.
Yeah.
A traitor. Comes from Chinese companies like the Bank of China, TCL, Anta, Luckin Coffee, Cadillac China, Megnu Dairy. I don't even know what that is, but I don't like it.
Sounds like fake dairy.
Definitely is.
And here's the thing, this idea, right? When people say global, it always sounded good. Remember when we were kids, at almost every school, you had the We Are the World, right, and the different flags. And we were all told that was a good thing. Just like in Canada, I was taught guns are bad. Globalism, good. What does that mean? Globalism, good. That means sovereignty is bad. That means borders are bad. That means refusing to link arms with someone who does not share your values is bad. That's more evil than the divergence on the values themselves. You know, like, hey, if you don't hold hands with China, that's evil. Don't you think we're all people? Okay, so you think it's more evil for me to refuse to link arms with China than the fact that they are en masse drowning their daughters in bathtubs?
Yeah, plus I don't want to link arms with somebody who smells like cigarettes.
Exactly right. Exactly right. It's fine when you're at a casino. It's fine when you're placing bets. You want to be surrounded by a bunch of Chinese or Vietnamese chain smokers. It adds to the ambiance. I
like to play mahjong.
Yep. I don't even know what mahjong is.
Me neither, but it's fun.
I understand that old Asians play it.
They tell me I lose every time. It's weird.
Eileen Gu defines globalism, and by the way, globalism that depends on the success of American capitalism, to fleece Americans. She personifies it perfectly.
Of her
she
career.
skied for China.
The cover of Vogue, Time.
Hottest Chinese athlete of all time.
Model. You now have
Who looks
dozens
nothing
of
like a
endorsement
Chinese
deals
athlete
as
doesn't ask
well.
questions.
And for folks also, you not know the fact you almost had a perfect score on the SAT as well. So
You do.
Yeah.
American
How
schooling?
has your life
American born,
changed
American
over
trained?
the last 4 years, Eileen?
Yeah, I mean, for one, I started college, so that has been so much fun going to Stanford. I also did.
Oh, that's in America too, right?
Oxford, so I fully lived on campus at
Pronounced the
Oxford, and that was just such a special experience. Additionally, I've worked in fashion since I was 14, so continuing to do that and explore the intersection of femininity and power, of self-expression, has just been just as fulfilling. And you know, I like to joke
Wonder
that
how
I
she
picked my
votes.
3 favorite things in the world: skiing, education, and fashion, and somehow made it a job.
And betraying your
I don't
country.
know what job title this is, but I feel like the luckiest girl in the
Benedict
world to be
Arnold.
able to do all 3 at the same time.
You are.
I just like to say I'm a college student who happens to be really athletic.
You're a traitor.
Period.
You're a traitor. Let's be clear. Born in the States, benefited from the States, and then you decide to be a token for a communist regime.
Yeah.
And she won silver. Second place counts too.
She got gold last time around.
And
Silver's good.
She
Come on.
posted this. She said, sometimes it feels like I'm carrying the weight of 2 countries on my shoulders.
You're not.
Just being able to ski through all of that, you know, I don't. To still show my best and still be so deeply in love with the sport. How about your country? That's really what I care about, and I'm so happy to represent that today. You represent vapid narcissism and loyalty to nothing.
Yeah. Oh, one thing, actually. I'm sorry. I have to correct you there. Money.
Money.
She would have gotten a lot of money. I made this point earlier. A lot of money to be an American skier and go and compete. She would have done fantastic, right? But because she has access to the Chinese market now, all the luxury brands in Europe, which nobody's dumb enough really to buy en masse anymore, except mostly the Chinese market, she gets those the contracts now. She can get them into China.
Well, I don't know if that's how she explained it, but she did announce her decision to ski for China prior to the 2022 Olympics in Beijing. Here she is, extolling the virtues of globalism.
I was 15 years old at that time, and I had this tremendous support from the U.S. ski team from a moral level, from an emotional level, in the sense that when I told them that I wanted to compete for China in the upcoming Olympics, that it was to inspire young girls, it was to spread the sport, and it was to create a shared future of globalism. They were 100% behind me.
Then fire them too.
What's the future for Chinese girls?
Yeah.
I don't know, but it sounds like the American team didn't want her on the team. Yeah. They were really supportive. They said, yeah, go do that right now. Go do it right now.
That's right.
Please. Oh my God, get out of here.
Let me guess. A women's sports team? Makes sense. You know what men would have said once? Like, what? You're going to betray your country like that? And you would no longer have friends. The intersect of femininity and power. You mean showing your legs on a catwalk? Like, come on.
Powerful.
You're selfish and you want money. And you are spitting on the country that gave you said opportunity. In China, they check your dimensions on your body and they say, oh, okay, now you ski. You work coal mine. You don't have a choice. And somehow, in fleecing the United States, because those who, again, benefit from the capitalist system while trying to thrust leftism everywhere you go, they're happy to make her an ambassador for future United States Olympic bids. Oh, I should also note, China doesn't allow dual citizenship, so that may be a problem.
Do you have to be a citizen of a country to represent it in the Olympics?
That tended to be the case.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know that there's other international events that are similar to the Olympics. Like, for instance, in baseball, there's the World Baseball Classic.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of those dudes, born in the U.S., raised in the U.S., play for a different country.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be that way with the Olympics. I don't
they're
think
a little different, though,
this
the
broad has
Olympics.
given it much thought. I think
No.
she said, more money, please,
Just
more money,
selfish,
please.
yeah.
I want to inspire young women to also have no values. To also have, when we talk about feminism destroying the idea of duty, this is what we're talking about. No man up until, still amongst most men today, but certainly no man up until and including most of the 20th century would have ever been held out as an ambassador or respected if they didn't have any sense of duty or honor. Men wouldn't respect that person. That would have been a man not worthy of respect. With women, power in and of itself is what is worthy of respect. Why? Because they justify it, saying, well, because women don't really have power. So the fact that I got power must mean that I'm doing something right. Okay, why don't we apply that standard to men who rip people off, who fleece them, who lie, who betray? In other words, it's all permissible because feminism said duty doesn't matter. You get yours, girl, while they vilify capitalism. See how this works? This is very much like a lot of these American companies who shipped, and not just companies, but politicians encouraging it and those who benefited in positions of power. We're not talking about mom and pop businesses. They shipped jobs, production to China. Why? Because they got more money and no sense of duty to their country. This country can only work if you have a shared sense of duty and patriotism. Otherwise, it's just a race to see who can screw who first. I don't know if you remember this. There was during China's their kind of ascension, there's that WTO bill, the WTO, and there were some legislative accomplishments there. Bill Clinton actually said, so if you believe in a future of greater openness and freedom for the people of China, you ought to be for this agreement. If you believe in a future of greater prosperity for the American people, you certainly should be for this agreement. If you believe in a future of peace and security for Asia and the world, you should be for this agreement. This is the right thing to do.
Wow,
well,
you're wrong.
Instead, 5 million manufacturing jobs left. There were all kinds of manufacturing establishments, factories, companies that have been gone forever. We've seen hundreds of thousands of fentanyl deaths, unprecedented, and it doesn't seem like China is playing any more honestly than before. I think that this is where when people talk about populism, they don't mean this is popular, because populism it could just be a form of socialism. What they mean is, and this has obviously been communicated as America First, and they're kind of one and the same. What we're talking about is caring enough about your fellow American to not screw them for an extra buck. It's not my place to tell a business owner what they should make or what they should collect as a salary. It is our place as a country, as a society, to say, well, we don't want these kinds of businesses and these kinds of politicians who will benefit at the cost of our well-being. We don't want them in the country. That's duty. That's okay. We can hold people to a standard of duty. Places like, Hollywood, the NBA, video games, places that have sold out the American people in order to try and get a greater share of the Chinese market, which results in what? For example, banning big tech as well, banning people who suggest that, my God, COVID may have actually been a lab leak. Did that turn out to be the most likely scenario? For example, not acknowledging Taiwan's existence. For example, pointing to China as a beacon of a growing economy. Why? Because they benefit more, adhering to their censorship standards on their platforms. This all is a canary in a coal mine, not to be confused with an actual Chinese canary in a coal mine.
I saw a commie bitch. I did saw a commie bitch.
He's been calling it like he sees it for a long time. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like,
and I mean, this is the main thing that it comes down to. It's like, I've no issue with sports and things if you keep it about the sports. You know what I mean? You can do your NBA shit, all this kind of stuff, but don't start be doing the whole NBA shit. Plus, we're going to low key, suck up to China and saying China great, and maybe if we done a bit of communism over here, things would be awesome. All this kind of malarkey. You know what I mean? Like who asked for that? Like forget about politics for a second. Let's just talk about the culture. Who's the one? Like the fans are not crying out for, oh, like what would make the NFL better, or what would make the NBA better is if we start doing all this slogan bullshit and start dedicating games to particular causes and like bringing all this political shit into something that's supposed to be passing the time, bit of entertainment. You get to see dudes do slam dunks and one-handed catches, all this kind of shit. Like that's what it's supposed to be about. It's not supposed to be about pushing a political message. You know what I mean? And when you have these athletes that like a lot of people like look up to, all of a sudden start to push these particular messages, it would behoove oneself to question where these sources come from and why are they getting so much money, and what particular message has changed, or what is the new thing that they've been saying. That's the key thing to point out. But like I said, we're going to finish off on something strong. Of course, like I said, with the Ko-Fi $6 or $12 worth of super chats. But folks, like I said, either way, I think we've capitalized on a lot here. Because it just feels so right. But anyways, getting back to this bitch. She lost the election, but she's still complaining apparently. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, we've got a problem, an epidemic in modern day society of naggers. So many fucking naggers, complainers, moaners, whatever word you want to call them. Those people need to go. Or they just start doing some shit. Make some solutions. You know what I'm saying?
So Kamala HQ is turning into headquarters, and it's where you can go online to get basically the latest of what's going on, and also to meet and revisit with some of our great, courageous leaders.
Real, new and improved Kamala ramblings. Speaking of things we don't like, we did a closing time, and I don't like, you know me, I live by a code.
Yeah, like a pirate.
It doesn't make sense, don't get me wrong. And it's horribly inconsistent. Okay. But it is a code, nonetheless. We did a closing time on Kamala Harris, and I don't want to address her again. But we have to, because yesterday, for the first time since election 2024, Kamala HQ posted this on X.
That's interesting.
Huh.
It's a terrible password.
Yeah, and you said that's interesting.
Well, that is interesting because you notice the one fake password is the babysitter is weird.
Yeah.
Is she talking about her husband having an affair with his babysitter and getting divorced?
Right. Yeah.
That would be a weird thing to.
It's just a weird password.
It is a weird password. I'm not sure what it's referencing, but the only thing I can think is her husband having sex with his babysitter.
Yeah. Exactly right. And I don't know if you know, but she likes the men and she likes to be involved in affairs. She's done quite a few of those.
Mayor and higher, though. She has standards.
She's babysat, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do. Meaning she was incredibly promiscuous with married men.
Yep.
No, she would have been a great model as first female president for your daughters. Hey, you see that, sweetheart? If you sleep with disgusting men in their harem, you too can be president of the United States. All you have to do is sleep your way to the top. Isn't it great? You can be a whore and president.
Hey, it's not that simple. They have to have power. The men have to have power.
That's true. They do.
They can't just be any geek off the street.
So, sweetheart, make sure you're a whore for the right person.
Yes.
That's the lesson here. Daddy loves you.
At least mayor.
And they followed it up, by the way. They followed it up just this morning with real, new and improved Kamala ramblings.
Madam Vice President, what's going on with Kamala HQ?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. I have good news.
Jesus.
So Kamala HQ is turning into headquarters, and it's where you can go online to get basically the latest of what's going on, and also to meet and revisit with some of our great, courageous leaders, be they elected leaders, community leaders, civic leaders, faith leaders, young leaders. I'm really excited about it. So stay engaged, and I'll see you.
We
out
were
there.
hanging
Thank
out
you.
in a parking lot.
And just to hedge her bets, after that, she immediately proceeded to fillet Mayor Jacob Fry.
Fry.
and open a purple suit store because you have to have a contingency plan.
Yes.
So to give us a little more insight into this teaser, we welcome. Many people don't know this. Her father is Donald J. Harris, and so we welcome Kamala Harris's father, Donald J. Harris, to the show.
Oh boy!
All right, Mr. Donald J. Harris, thank you for being here. Can you see me, hear me, sir?
Yeah, man. What one?
Okay, what are your thoughts on your daughter's potential comeback?
Man, it's the creation.
Man, there's more of a come front kind of girl.
And by that, you mean...
Oh, hey, they don't call her downtown Willie Brown for nothing, man.
Wow, that is very on the nose. I think I know how this is going to go. What do you make of this teaser, though, from Kamala HQ?
Me daughter been called a lot of things, but a teaser is not one of them.
I'm afraid to ask, but... What do you mean by that?
She been called a sleazer, she been called a pleaser, but never been called a teaser. She been whipping her coconuts out since the 1990s.
Oh my, that's your daughter, Mr. Harris. It's awful to hear you say that. It kind of sucks.
You wanna know what really sucks, man?
I can guess where this is going.
Me filthy whore of a daughter.
Okay.
That's why it's called Kamala HQ, because she is the head queen.
No, that's enough. Cut it.
Irie. It tells the
a sad
truth.
state of affairs.
Oh, yeah, very sad.
According to Kalshi, Kamala still remains the leader for, according to Rasmussen, 2028, she is at 34%, Newsom is at 20%, Shapiro is at 10%, but then the Kalshi odds don't have her quite as high. Here, if you can remember that, Newsom is at 31%, Kamala is at 8%, AOC is at 8%. That's still just an awful state of affairs.
It really is.
When people say, I didn't leave the Democrat Party left me. Just look at that list. Gavin Newsom, Kamala, AOC. We could toss some other people in that mix. We could toss Elizabeth Warren in that mix. Let's toss Governor Whitmer in that mix.
Yeah.
Like, can you name me one who isn't radical? Can you name me one where you could find the daylight between their views of the world and Antifa? Genuine question.
Fetterman. He's not a candidate for president.
But they hate him.
But they do hate him.
They hate him.
Well, you know what? I think that would shake their world if he showed up on that primary stage. Just boom, boom, the whole earth is shaking and just.
I wish he would. He would take them to task more than a Republican would probably in a debate.
Imagine that. They would be shown up by a guy in a hoodie who had a stroke.
Yes. He probably wouldn't halfway know where he was.
No.
I think he would steal votes. He would steal GOP votes.
Yeah.
In a general election.
By being really reasonable. Like he would go, look, I'm pro-choice, but I think that this policy is pretty ridiculous. I mean, we're talking about kids who are like 8 months old, whatever it is. He'd be like, look, I think that I don't like Donald Trump, but I think he's done some good things for the economy, and I think it's a good thing that evil dictators are out of power. And they'd be like, what do we do here? We didn't have a plan for this. And Kamala Harris was like, I don't know what to do. I'll resort to instinct. And then
Fetterman has another stroke. That's mean. I shouldn't have done that.
Damn.
I'm sorry. It's going to come back to get me.
Hold on. Is there like a silver lining to this that we're missing? Like they changed Kamala HQ to headquarters. Are they trying to get rid of her by removing her name from it?
I don't know.
Is that a positive thing?
I think you're reading too much into it.
Yeah, maybe reading too much into it.
You're going to hear from a lot of people, not me. They're pushing me out the door.
Yeah. Well, they should be.
Hopefully.
Because she's a drunk.
We'll see.
And
no. They're not pushing her out the door, Gerald. They're drop kicking that bitch out the fucking door. You know what I mean? Get the fuck out, Kamala.
Just my opinion.
2028 sponsored by Captain Morgan.
Just my opinion. You guys can comment below if you think it's out of line. When I think Kamala Harris, I think drunk whore.
Vote drunk whore 2028.
That's my opinion. That is my opinion of Kamala Harris. You think it's sexist? All right. Fine. Oh, you're still here.
Yeah, but again, like I said, the way I see this is they are so fucking desperate, bro. They're so desperate that they're trying to wheel out Kamala again. They're like, because their whole thing is like, oh yeah, but like Trump's going to lose favorability. And then like, you're going to lose the House. It's, yeah, but who are you going to put against them? Because again, like your whole shtick has been Donald Trump bad. And Donald Trump can't run the next one. But the Republicans are getting all these W's. So what the fuck are you going to do? I'll tell you what you do. You'll do absolutely nothing, folks. You know what I mean? That's why I keep saying these motherfuckers that are blackpilling. It's like, bro, you're blackpilling just as the dawn is coming. Just as the new day is coming. You know what I mean? But yeah, like I said, First of all, we're gonna round out and we're gonna close off with him. I don't think we're gonna get the last 6. But hopefully you enjoy the new format with the griff breaks and all the stuff. Like I said, I think it's probably the best way to combine all the different spices that we were cooking with last week. Specifically kind of like combining the YouTube goal and using the YouTube goal as the trigger for the Ko-Fi griff break or the Force griff break, I think is pretty good. I think the playlist was good. I think even in terms of the format as well, it's more efficient. Do you know what I mean? Like, why bother stay up an extra hour anyways, William? You're better off like getting shit done in your own life or getting to sleep, whatever, if it's going to be one of these slow days. And I think the way that the format of the griff breaks are now, it gives us the perfect indication whether or not it's going to be a slow day or not. And like I said, at the end, it does give even the film room, there's something to build towards, even towards the end of the show, which is something I thought that was missing. Because like, what are we grifting towards for the last hour? You know what I mean? If the show is just going to be 6 hours, whereas if we say, okay, the base hour is going to be 5 hours because the way the format of the griff break works, we do an hour of a show, then we do potentially an hour griff break, then we come back and do another hour, then potentially do another griff break, and then the third time we're coming back, that's the 5th hour. And if we're not getting, if we kind of have a scenario where it's like we've gone through a full hour of griff break and we got no donations, then that's going to pretty much tell us whether or not we're going to get the extension anyway. So like I said, in that 5th hour, it then turns into extension, and then you're paying for the extensions from there. And then like I said, in terms of the chat and chill, right from the get-go, you want the open panel straight from the get-go, you can aim towards that. And then you also have the same kind of like feature built in from the film room as well, where towards the end of the show, you can possibly extend it more. We can even add that into Wheel of Madness, but the Wheel of Madness, the griff breaks aren't going to be the griff playlist. It's going to be the Wheel of Madness song, of course. So like I said, there's a lot of stuff that we gathered from last week, and we're now imploring it, and I think it's going to be a lot better as well. And like I said, it's kind of perfect that even on a slow day, we have, okay, you know, you get to bed easier, you get to bed quicker, or you get more shit done in your daily life, all that kind of stuff as well, William. Summing up the show as well, like I said, we started off with, you know, some German, led into the Irish Persian thing. Hit us up with like, again, like the whole, like what we're pointing towards, like what, like why are they against this? And again, pointing towards the lefties is like, these are the people that are against this that will start calling you all sorts of stuff that has nothing got to do with the actual word. It's got to do with nobility, sovereignty. These are common themes that arise, and what like these quote unquote lefties, modern day lefties, are so against. You know what I mean? This is why they hate the West, and this is why the West can, like, it's completely different nations. It transcends this whole idea of like nationality, because it is one culture. But unfortunately, we can't even evoke the name of that culture. We have to say it's an Indo-European culture. It's a noble culture. We can't use the actual word. It is what it is. Just to catch up on chat before we head out as well. Al Picasso says, I'm pro-choice. I think you should be able to choose not to have sex. Pretty based, not gonna lie. Hey, leave drunk whores alone. Don't insult them like that. What the fuck? I think I sense a bit of sarcasm. She can't even spell alphabet. That's how stupid she is. It is what it is. No sleep for either of you. It is what it is. Like, that's what I'm saying, Shante. There's always a silver lining. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, this way I think is a lot more efficient. And it is that whole thing of like, even when we have a slow day, at least there's some benefits. At least we get like earlier sleep, or we get more time back in the day to work on other shit and all this kind of stuff. Because one thing as well is leaving everything to Sunday does kind of put a lot of pressure that I don't get around to on Sunday. Like, for example, if I spend a lot of time trying to make a particular video work, like through all like the AI and all this kind of shit, or if I'm just like researching in for, let's say, a particular tool that I want to use for either video editing or scheduling videos or lives or whatever. Like, for example, like with StreamYard, like I could potentially like spend hours on that, and then technically I have nothing to show for it for that next week. Also, stuff like changing out the wheel topics, or just making sure that the wheel topics are refreshed and they don't feel stale. That's like a continuous thing as well. So even this idea like does give us like time for that and all this kind of stuff as well. So like I said, I like where it's going essentially. But yeah, welcome in. We're just closing up. That shitty Valentine's Day is gay anyways. Yep, it is. it is what it is. But like I said, in terms of Picasso, now you're not like spending a lot of money on her. You know what I mean? So there's always a silver lining. Shanti says, tomorrow's my birthday. Expect no sleep for anybody, and I'll be here for free. Hey, appreciate you, Shanti. You know, make sure you bring your coffee. We're gonna be working hard. We're gonna be working hard. But generally, it does seem to say is like when we have a slow day like today, either the next day or the following day, or definitely the Wheel of Madness of that week, we definitely like we hit the goal and all this kind of stuff as well. So that's why I kind of say it's like not to stress about the slow days too much. Like slow days are inevitable. Like no matter how much is your max, there'll always be a min, or there'll always be like not max kind of thing. So that's why I don't like fret them too much. Because like generally anytime we do get a slow day, like sometime that week we do get like a really big day as well. So I'm not too stressed about it in terms of that. So like I said, enjoy your birthday, etc., etc. Yeah, it sucks to them, but had to make the wife happy. This guy dumped his girlfriend to make his wife happy. What a gent. This guy. Appreciate you guys. Like I said, and also happy birthday. Happy birthday to the Shantae, the one and only. But let's see who we're going to be sending us off to. Where are we going to be going today? First of all, let's see who's live. Uno momento, por favore. Yeah, we got Emmett's live. So we're going to go into Emmett. He's doing PNN, the Palestine News Network update on the gay Kippur. So, like I said, thinks Emmett's just going. Emmett's going nuclear on both, which, you know, at least you can't call him unbiased. You know what I mean? So we're going to be going into Emmett. Make sure you give him a like and a sub. Also, Shante says thank you. You know, appreciate you, Candy. Not to sleep. I slept too much being sick. That's the other thing as well. But I generally find that your body generally tends to kind of like keep you on track. If you ever got like one of those Oura rings or like one of those things that like track your sleep automatically, like one of those devices that you wear, you'll see that like if you went through a particular stint where it's like you only get like 4 hours or you're getting hardly any sleep, you're eventually going to hit a period where you're sleeping like 10 or 12 hours like each day or whatever, like by a sickness or something will manifest in terms of that. But when you see that like you've been getting like between 7 and 8 hours consistently, that's when you generally tend to be at your peak. And when you're waking up, boom, your head's up off the pillow and you're like, okay, what do I need to do? I want to get shit done. Do you know what I mean? New tip from I just said I'm William Kramer Jr. bitch. Oh, bro, sorry. I saw the B. And does that inform us? Are we going an extra hour? It is, ladies and gentlemen. Meaning we have an extra hour. Get through. So 1 sec. Let me do a bit of the sentence. Oh no, I'll leave it at there. And then we'll do this. And with that, we got a premium meme as well. So let me know. But first of all, I obviously have to play this first.
Oh shit! I just realized too. All right, it's 4:30, guys. Oh shit! Right on the button. William's like, I'm not letting that. Get it.
My motherfucking man. Shante says, I track absolutely nothing in my life. But some, like you do it automatically. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like you don't like consciously, or like you're not consciously aware of your immune system. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like we have that like phenomenon where we feel sick and all this stuff. Like that's where your immune system is like, oh shit, like we're in a fight here. You know what I mean? But like on the day to day, there's plenty of stuff that like your immune system deals with that you don't consciously deal with. So it's about getting into that mind state where it's like you're listening to your subconscious, which sounds kind of weird, but I mean, like consciousness itself is difficult to understand. And yes, William the man. Let me know, William, which one do you want? Do you want the Hodge twins? Will she be coming down the road? Let me know, William. Guys are saying, what if you sleep 12 hours a day? Does that mean you're lazy? No, what I'm saying is that, like, if your body slept 12 hours a day, clearly you needed the 12 hours of sleep. But if you're sleeping every day for 12 hours a day, then you need to look at something, either in your diet, there's something that you're putting in your system that's causing you to need so much rest, or your body to feel like it needs so much rest. You know what I mean? Now, being able to sleep 12 hours a day, not necessarily sleeping 12 hours a day, but being able to sleep 12 hours a day is what I think Shantae means in terms of like being able to win at life. You're technically winning where you don't need to be up 16 hours. You could settle for a 12-hour. You know what I'm saying? Amen. I just ignore it. Yeah, just ignore subconscious. Unbelievable, folks. But William says he wants the Speak Easy clip, and ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give him the easy clip. Here's our boy Speak Easy teaching us a little bit about logic.
Well, hang on, stop. Let's start with this. What are the 3 laws of logic? What are they? No, don't look them up. What are the 3 laws of logic?
Do you think this is an incomplete
What are the
mathematical
3
statement?
laws of logic? There's 3. What are they?
I don't fucking know.
You don't know the fucking laws of logic, dude.
All right.
No, all right, dude. I don't know where. You don't even know the 3 laws of logic. This is fucking crazy. You're fucking crazy,
do you
bro.
want to ask Speakeasy if he knows?
Yeah, it's the law of identity, the law of non-contradiction, and the law of the excluded middle.
His name is John Cena.
Anything else, dipshit?
And his name is John Cena. My man. It's a nice pair because it's both got John Cena. You know what I'm saying? Nice. It's like a combo move. You know what I mean? But one sec. We're on to the next. We're staying with Crowder, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so we're on to the next one. We're on to Cincinnati, as the Patriots would say. One sec. Let me make sure I've got everything. Right. I think it's better over here. Yeah, we'll go with this one. Lamau thought he was going to share the embarrassments. Hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. That's what I'm saying. You're dealing with easy. Like easy without, because they come correct. You know what I mean? They're suited, they're booted, they know their shit. You know what I mean? But it was beautiful where it's like, does it speak easy now? It's like, yeah, I do. You know, logic is, like, one would say fundamental, necessary to debate. Otherwise, what are we even talking about?
None of those people are the gun person.
That includes the deceased gun person.
Okay. And then separately, do you know the gun person's relationship to the school?
Not at this time, no.
If it is not a shooting that helps them push the narrative of gun control, that helps them push the narrative that the common denominator is easy access to guns or right-wing extremism, they try and bury it. Let's get to what is in the news right now, this shooting in British Columbia. Now, I was talking about this with Lane the Brain earlier, and it's weird that this didn't catch on as far as being covered by the media, where when he first read about it, and the same thing with me, I thought it might be one of those fake news stories because someone had written about it and it was covered nowhere.
Yeah, I didn't see it anywhere. And it was later in the day, and I'm like, what's going on at night?
Right.
Like at school? What?
And then we realized that's very telling in and of itself. Why? Why was it not covered anywhere for a good long while in comparison to other shootings?
Why don't you want people to know about it right away?
Right.
Interesting.
Why did we not have the same reaction immediately from world leaders and posts? Why did we not have the same kind of reaction in comparison to other mass shootings? Now, I will say this. There was some misinformation going around where people were saying, hey, this shooter was transgender, and posting pictures of someone who was not the shooter. This shooter may be, at this point in time, seems likely that they're a transgender individual. But I will tell you, when you're facing an absence of information, look to how the left is treating it. And that'll be a pretty strong indicator. So if I go, okay, we don't have the information, but they're not covering it, they're not jumping on this, and they seem to be kind of trying to punt it a little bit. There's something there that they don't like. For example, maybe the shooter was black. Maybe the shooter was transgender, lesbian, gay. If they don't cover it, there's something there that they don't want to touch. And I saw that right away. So Off the bat, for those of you who haven't been following it, shooter in British Columbia killed 9 at the time of this broadcast, injured another 25. This is a really large-scale, tragic one. And here's the news report, so you don't take my word for it. Of course, all references available, links in the description. We do that every show.
This is one of the biggest tragedies that our province, our country, and certainly the rural town of Tumbler Ridge has ever seen.
We're still triaging other victims, and I don't have updates on whether that number could rise. The scene was very dramatic, and there were multiple victims that are still being cared for.
Okay, now I'm going to answer the question that I asked you earlier so you know where we're going with this. The reason why is if it is not a shooting that helps them push the narrative of gun control, that helps them push the narrative that the common denominator is easy access to guns or right-wing extremism, they try and bury it. This is the same media who has said that the greatest threat to, domestically is right-wing extremists or white males, as you heard Don Lemon, people like Chris Cuomo, Brian Stelter, CNN as a whole, MSNBC, I guess it's called MS now. That's what you've heard them say. That's why they don't want to touch this. So let me give you a couple of key facts, and then I'll tell you what they want you to believe, and I'll tell you what is accurate. It does seem like this shooter may have been transgender. Let me tell you why I think that's the most likely scenario. The RCMP's district commander referred not only to the shooter as a gun person, which is odd, but every part about this clip is suspicious.
None of those people are the gun person.
That includes the deceased gun person.
Okay. And then separately, do you know the gun person's relationship to the school?
Not at this time, no.
Okay. So right away, gun person, look left.
Right.
That seems odd.
They also could have just said shooter.
Which
is weird.
And then when you combine that with the fact that the RCMP confirmed the initial alert about the shooting, describing the shooter as a female in a dress with brown hair, well, why wouldn't they just say the woman in question, the gun woman, gun person? Could just be that they're tripping over pronouns because they don't know what to do.
You see how important language is?
Okay. There's some information. Here's some more. This comes from Cosmin. Do I say
Georgia?
Georgia. Sorry, forgive me for it's spelled DZSURDZSA. Forgive me. Juno News.
Pure Canadian.
Juno News, former post-millennial editor, wrote, I just spoke to Jesse Strang's uncle, Russell, who identified Jesse as a suspected Tumbler Ridge shooter. Russell described his nephew Jesse as, quote, transgender. Public YouTube account belonging to Jesse also bears the trans flag and an SKS rifle. I reached out because that's what basic journalism demands, verification through primary sources. That used to be standard practice. It was the only thing I could do while the police refused to verify basic details about the killer's identity. To be clear, this is different from the picture that was circulating from fake news accounts on the right trying to convince you that that person was the shooter. And the reason that this matters is because that's a person. And if it's not the same person, that's a problem. Remember when we released the Nashville Manifesto? You had people on the right saying, no, I did my due diligence, and my source says that Audrey Hale was sexually molested by her father. Well, the reason that that's so harmful is because there's an actual father in the real world. And if that's not true, your clickbait isn't a defense. So this is someone who did the work, seems to be legitimate. It is different from the picture that many of you have seen. Now we go to the response from the left. This is telling. The New York Times. Canada was reeling on Wednesday, a day after a shooter killed 9 people and injured 25 others in a remote town in northeastern British Columbia, the third deadliest shooting in the country's history that comes amid a wider debate about gun control. Let me be clear, there is no wider debate about gun control in Canada. It has some of the strictest gun laws in the Western world. Okay? To the point of being silly. When you talk about bureaucracy, red tape, and arbitrary laws simply designed to infringe on your right to self-defense, you're referring to Canada. There's no debate. It has been settled by a totalitarian government in Canada. Yeah. You cannot own firearms for the purposes of self-defense in Canada. And should you want to hunt, there are still stringent regulations. Just to be clear, Mark Carney wrote, I am devastated by today's horrific shootings in Tumbler Ridge, BC. My prayers and deepest condolences are with the families and friends who have lost loved ones to these horrific acts of violence. Macron chimed in, other leaders from Australia, Germany, Sweden, they had similar messages without the same widespread condemnation of easy access to guns. Again, that is telling. Look to how the left responds. Even the supreme leader of China, Xi Jinping, had this to say.
Family and 10% discount on Chinese car. Be so sorry.
I'm really starting to hate the Chinese.
That seems inappropriate.
Yeah.
It does. So let's go to what they want you to believe are the common denominators and why the response has been different here from, let's say, a shooter who happened to be white in Texas. Common denominator number one.
His Asian accent
Guns.
is beautiful, Shanta.
Gun control, gun violence. And I'll just so you know, I'll foreshadow here. We're going to get to acts of terrorism and acts of mass violence that don't involve guns, and they're actually far more prevalent. But you already knew that. People who are new, this may be news to you. So the first thing they usually try and use, which they're kind of sidestepping right now, gun violence is the root of the problem. Access to guns, and it is a uniquely American problem, doesn't work here.
This epidemic of gun violence is a uniquely American problem.
When it comes to the sheer frequency and public response to mass shootings, the U.S. is in a category all its own.
A uniquely American phenomenon.
The fact that the U.S. is alone in the world for these mass shootings in schools or other places.
No advanced society except this one keeps having gun massacres.
America is the only country in the world where scenes like this play out on almost a daily basis.
Do you guys even realize that the #1 killer of children and teens are gun injuries? Why are we fighting about this?
Wrong.
Well, the reason we're fighting about this is because this country used to have a lot of men in the country, and they wanted to be able to protect you. Your father would want to protect you. Men in this country wanted to be able to protect their family, their liberty, their freedoms, to be clear. So this idea that it's settled, no. And then the idea that it's settled that only the United States faces mass shootings, that's not true. And we certainly aren't the only country that faces acts of mass violence, because here's the truth. Plenty of mass shootings have taken place in Canada. You could argue that Montreal is the founder of the feast. Where I was raised, we had 3 mass shootings. We had the École Polytechnique was a big one, Concordia University massacre, the Dawson shooting, where my friends, quite a few of them, were in that school when it happened in 2020. Nova Scotia, there was a gunman who was on a rampage for 13 hours, killing 22. 13 hours. I would argue that's a tougher pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Because imagine you are the spouse or the father of death 18 or 19 or death 21 at hour 12 and a half. Why don't we treat that as a greater act of evil than people having the right to own firearms? That is a failure of the government. It's a failure of their primary job. No one could stop that person. And that mass shooting, I guess you wouldn't call it mass shooting because it took place over the course of 13 hours, but it is, by definition. That's what led to the ban on assault-style weapons in Canada, which, by the way, if you're in the States, includes pretty much every gun that you have.
They can't define it.
Yeah, they can't define it. It includes pretty much every basic pistol that you may have. And I know you're thinking, only if I have an extended magazine. Nope, if you have a standard one. In many cases, even if you had a California compliant magazine, you still wouldn't be allowed that. And if you did, you wouldn't be allowed to load it and you wouldn't be able to have it by your bedside. So let's just be clear about that. We don't know what gun was used yet. We do know that Canada has some of the strictest gun laws in the Western world. Okay? It's not even close. I don't want to go through it. You guys can check the references. I think you all know this. By the way, we broadcast at 11 a.m. Eastern. Tune in, 11 a.m. We're always here. Common denominator number 2 here is some people will point to this, and it definitely is a trend, but it is not the common denominator. But transgender shooters, there's certainly a stronger correlation with that than there would be with some of the other arguments to be made. So since 2018, there have been at least 6 school shootings that were committed by transgender individuals. You have 2018 Aberdeen. 4 were killed at a pharmaceutical distributor. You had 2019 Highlands Ranch, Colorado, for those of you who've forgotten that. There was Colorado Springs, Colorado. 5 were killed. That was the gay nightclub. Then there was Nashville, obviously. We covered that and released that manifesto. The local authorities tried to bury it, and the FBI, I believe, or mayor threatened to sue us. No word on that. 2024, there was Perry, Iowa. This person was gender fluid, but I consider it all part of the mentally ill pot. Killed 1, injured 5. 2025, Minneapolis. That trans shooter killed 2 and I believe injured 29. This was the recent church one. Now, you could say, all right, there seems to be a common thread there. Well, sure, but it doesn't exist in a vacuum. Would there be a reason to believe that transgender individuals are more likely to commit acts of violence, mass violence? Are they more or less likely to be mentally unstable? Well, I'll tell you, it's not even close. It's not even close. 42% of trans adults have attempted suicide. The numbers don't get better pre or post-op. The only other group of people who would have that kind of an attempted suicide rate are paranoid schizophrenics, and even then, it's probably not as high. Jews in the Holocaust, American slaves, did not have attempted suicide rates that high. I don't believe that your oppression is worse than an American slave or a Jew in the Holocaust because you couldn't take a dump in your toilet of choice at Target. 81% have thought about suicide. 56% have engaged in non-suicidal self-injury. 31% have drug abuse problems. The comorbidity rate is through the roof. Only now we don't see that because they don't list them as comorbidities, thanks to the DSM-5 in 2013, stating that gender nonconformity is not in itself a mental disorder. It was, until it wasn't. But you look at everything, nowhere else.
And like this is what they just changed the diagnosis. They just changed the definition, and then because before there was transgender, it was transvestites and transsexuals, and then science proved that you can't change sex. So then they said, okay, we're going to go with the gender thing. We're going to throw a bunch of these transvestites in, confuse the whole fucking picture.
In psychiatry, would you look at a group of people, say, okay, do we have a group? Is it clearly defined? Yeah. All right. Do we have some common statistics, some through lines here? Oh, wow, a 42% attempted suicide rate. Oh, wow, a 30% substance abuse rate. You couldn't look at a category of people, ADHD, bipolar, body dysmorphia, schizophrenia, borderline personality disorder. You couldn't look at those conditions and see the consistent level of contributing comorbidities or results that you see with transgender. It's the only one where we don't consider these clusters to be a notable pattern indicative of mental illness. Can you answer me? Anyone want to answer why? If you just said, hey, 42% of men attempt suicide versus women, or 42% of white men attempt suicide and have substance abuse problems, and 80% have had suicidal ideations. If you looked at any other group of people as a demographic and saw those kinds of trends, you would say this is disconcerting and would address it as a problem. This is the only one where we don't. Follow the science. Common denominator, though, I would argue, number 3, this is something... That's okay. Is mass terror in general and mass killings. This is something that we see across the world, not just the Western world. And it doesn't have to involve guns. Guys, it does not have to involve guns. We have mass mowings with cars. They occur at rates that defy reason if you look at what's happening in China. And by the way, that's taken place in the United States and Canada. But often the motivations, if they can't be attributed to simply access to guns, they're obfuscated or lied about. For example, remember the terror attack in Sydney? That was a right-wing thing.
We take ASIO's advice very seriously. We work closely with them. We receive regular updates as well. The Director General of ASIO has warned about a range of threats, be it anti-Semitism, the rise of right-wing extremist groups as well. And we continue to work closely with our security agencies.
Now, the reason I bring up that comparison is because, like with the transgender demographic, and this doesn't mean I have to say not all. Was it 158 million Muslims on earth believe that violence against apostates and converts is at least sometimes justified, or was it 190 something million? I'm trying to remember. It was over 150 million Muslims believe that violence against non-Muslims is sometimes justified. That would seem like it's a contributing factor. They said right wing. So acts of evil are carried out all the time. They don't necessarily involve guns. And you can see very common ideologies that are shared with those who commit acts of evil. Islam is one of them, if you're looking at global terror. And in general, leftism. You see, radical leftism. We're not just talking about murder, we're talking about assaults as well. We'll get into mental illness as well. If you're looking at the problem as an inanimate object, guns, well, that problem's been solved in Canada. You see the Democrats on the stage when they debate? They point to Canada or Australia as the success stories. And let's be honest, you're not going to see those levels of gun control in the United States. It's just not going to happen, not in your lifetime. But if the problem was guns, Canada solved it. That's not the problem. Yes.
So 198 million Muslims worldwide support the use of violence against civilian targets to defend Islam, according to Pew.
There you go. 198 million Muslims. The threat is right-wing extremism.
Say that.
No.
That was an Islamic attack on a Jewish gathering that he was talking about. Didn't say it.
No, it seems
Protected
like
group,
right-wing
yes.
extremism.
Yeah.
Let's go through some other examples of evil committed, because the problem is solved in Canada with guns. Is that the problem? April, in Canada, did you know this? 11 people were killed and a dozen more were injured in a Vancouver car attack.
Wow.
And by the way, these attacks are so prevalent in China. There's actually a weekly segment that you can watch online called the Bollard Report. As far as
on the China show,
yeah, it's called the
the China show.
It has a segment, the Bollard
Report. Yeah,
yeah, because mass mowings are such a regular occurrence in China that they don't know how to stop it.
I don't think that's terrorism. That's just an Asian driver.
Could be.
China does its best to hide this too. That's why the China show, we had to reach out to them and say, hey, help us.
And so how do they want to deal? Well, in China, they're talking about installing traffic barriers to prevent car attacks.
What, everywhere?
So what people used to say was a straw man, where you go, well, should we ban cars? If you don't acknowledge evil, if you don't acknowledge ideological influences, if you don't understand that good and evil exist in this world, well, you're gonna, once you ban guns, you go, well, people are still committing. I guess we'll put up traffic barriers. That's not going to work. I guess we'll ban cars. In the UK, banning knives. It's never enough, and they ignore the root problem. And it's the same root problem that has caused Gen Z, we'll get to this, to be dumber and more mentally ill. We've now lived this social experiment. It's a failure, period. Period. Everything the left has told you is wrong. Everything they have touched, they have ruined. Every policy they propose, every solution they present makes you worse off for having listened to them. Objectively. We even have that in the States, by the way, the mass car attacks. Remember Waukesha? You had that. There was one in Nice, France. There was one in New Orleans, Berlin. There was one in New York City. This isn't a rare occurrence.
This is the thing,
and so if you go, our problem is
this is the thing. At what point do you stop calling it like ignorance or stupidity? And what point do you start calling it out for what it is, which is intentional? You know what I mean? It almost feels like it's nefarious. You know? But like stupid shit, like let's put in traffic barriers. That's going to stop. And then what happens when they're using machetes? When they're walking around with machetes, what are we going to do then? Oh, then we need to ban all knives or some crazy shit. Or like in Ireland, they have knife return bins, so the criminals can return their knives and their machetes, put them all in a bin, and we'll collect the bin. Like that's the retarded logic that they have. It makes no sense. It does, but it's easy to believe it's just stupidity. Yeah, exactly. It's easier to believe that it's stupidity, but it's nefarious.
Gun violence, well, let's just ignore all the car attacks. Our problem is gun violence, well, let's just ignore all the Islamic terrorism. Our problem is gun violence, let's just ignore the 42% attempted suicide rate with transgender individuals and their proclivity to violence. Our problem is gun violence. All right, what do you do when a story like this comes up? A transgender individual carried out a mass shooting, allegedly. in a country with the strictest gun control policy in the Western world, well, that might indicate there's a moral rot. Let's just move on.
Yeah.
Don't let the left do that. Don't listen to them. Don't steal their narrative. Don't let them steal the narrative here. Don't let them gaslight you into this being something that it's not. Listen so that you hear their arguments, but don't even allow them the chance to propose a solution, a prescription. Period. It's always bad.
Yeah.
It always leads to more death. And it always leads to a worse society. You can't find a single example where there's not that as a clear example. And I know some people I can already hear right now, they're going to point to some Nordic countries. Shut up. By the way, one of the worst mass killing events ever, I believe, was in Norway. That threw off the curve for a long time, where the left said you had to exclude that when dealing with mass shootings. But even in those places, the problems that they face, and if they're not already there at the precipice of the complete decline of their civil, just give them a decade or two. The left is always wrong. It's that simple. They are always wrong in their proposed solutions.
Yeah, and I think it's even deeper than that with this, because anytime you're trying to solve a problem, you want to get down to like the most common denominator, like we said, right? You want to get down lowest. Saying white guys doesn't really help. Saying black guys doesn't really help. You can't screen for every single white or black person in this. But if you get down to a very small group of people, transgenders, okay, we can make some progress there. We can figure out how to deal with that. If you are interested in actually solving these problems, that's the kind of work that you do.
Yeah.
You don't just say, ban all guns. Can't do that, right? Ban all assault rifles. We can't even define that. But even then, you still have hunting rifles. You still have pistols. You still have shotguns. You still have plenty of other ways. It doesn't really help. You see by the solutions they propose that they don't actually care about the problem. They care about making you scared so that you'll vote for them and vote for control.
Right.
That's exactly what it is. And it pisses me off every time I see it, that this entire situation should be about other things. But it always comes back to this every single time.
If you can look at what would the left do if unfettered? Let's just stack this up and say, okay, we'll play a new game. Is it evil? If the left had their way, meaning no checks and balances on abortion, it would be guaranteed, no doubt, all the way up until and including birth on demand, period. Taxpayer funded. If the left had their way on guns, you wouldn't be able to own guns. People would come in with guns, ironically, to take your guns away, like a mandatory buyback in Australia, or like you saw, for example, in Canada, where everything was effectively banned and they were demanded to hand them back in.
Yeah.
Look at free speech. If the left had their way, you wouldn't be allowed to speak out against the government, whether it's COVID, whether it's vaccines, whether it's election interference. You wouldn't be allowed to. If you look at energy, you'd be poor, gas would be expensive, you'd have to use technology that wouldn't provide you dependable energy. We saw this with Germany in comparison to France, who went nuclear. They would be wrong on that with transgender individuals. Kids would be transitioned and taken away from their parents if their parents didn't support it. By the way, they can compete in women's sports. Go through the list. Assisted suicide makes up, 5% of deaths in Canada now? We're saying the same thing. The left wants all of those things. I don't. In places like Canada and many places in Europe, they've gotten those things. Are they better off? They're poorer, dumber, less safe, and less independent. Oh, you're still here.
And that's as simple as it pretty much is.
On YouTube,
you know what I mean?
There's no more.
You can't outsource defending yourself. You know what I mean? Or surviving. You know what I mean? And I think that's a key crux or a key problem that like a lot of bleeding heart liberals don't even understand. But we do have this clip from William. This is a very funny joke. So let's hear it.
I was in London about a month ago. The World Cup was going on. I enjoy any sporting event where nations get involved. I find that the most exciting. The Olympics is really my favorite sporting event, although I think I have a problem with that silver medal. I think if I was an Olympic athlete, I would rather come in last than win the silver. If you think about it. You know, you win the gold, you feel good. You win the bronze, you think, well, at least I got something. But you win that silver, that's like, congratulations, you almost won. Of all the losers, you came in first of that group. You're the #1 loser. No one lost ahead of you. And they don't lose by much. You know, these short races, 300ths of a second, 200ths of a second. I don't know how they live with that the rest of their lives, because you got to tell the story. Everyone wants to hear the story. Wow, congratulations, silver medal. Did you trip? Did you not hear the gun go off? Tell us what happened. It's 100th of a second. People say, what was the difference in the margin there? What was it? Well, it was like from now to now, now to now, now to now, to now, now. That was it. I trained, I worked out, I exercised my entire life. I never had a date, I never had a drink, I never had a beer. I was doing push-ups since I was a fetus. I flew halfway around the world. Everybody I knew in my whole life was there. The guy shot out the gun and then, And they always have that photo finish. You know, the photo finish was always silver, gold. This is the whole race. Gold, silver, bronze, dead last. Greatest guy in the world, never heard of him. And, you know, guys got to be thinking, if I had a pimple, I would have won.
You know what I mean? And it's one of those things that you don't really think about. That's why we got comedians. You know what I'm saying? And I think this is going to be the last video of the day. We're on to the healthcare. So again, talking about Canada and how fucked up things are in Canada. Lord have mercy on Canada. But let's get into it, folks.
You have a lifespan of what looks like to be 2 months to 2 years.
She says the surgeon told her she was not a candidate for surgery and chemotherapy would not be effective either. The advice?
Talk to your family, get your affairs in order, which was indicating, you know, whether you want to have medically assisted dying or not.
Here's what happens. They say there aren't death panels, but there's a very lengthy process. Picture the DMV with terminal cancer. Let's go to Canada. And this won't be as depressing as you think it will. And I really want to spend... Yeah, I know. Because it's Canada and it's about assisted suicide.
I hope not, because I want to live.
Yes. Well, good. I'm glad you really sold that earlier with your intro.
Happy to be here.
He's like,
I'm happy to be here on Earth.
Christmas and this show.
I want to live. Yay, living. Living is like more of a reward. So the acronym I'll use is MAID. That's Medical Assistance in Dying when we're talking about Canada. So last week, and this is something that I think is important because if you go back to really 2009 through kind of the Obama presidency, when I would do videos, typically back then once or twice a week, there was a huge discussion about obviously Obamacare and the concept of death panels. And the left would say, well, that's not really a thing. It's fear mongering.
Right.
And let me describe to you exactly what that is, and we'll get into it a little bit more later. The idea that in socialized healthcare, because of the resources being strained, that you will sit in front of a government body who will kind of do a risk-reward assessment of, do we really want to spend the money on you when it's stage 3 cancer? You lose your right to make your own medical decisions, ironically, from the left who say your body, your choice. So we now find ourselves... There's death panels way in the background because now they're just killing people in Canada.
Yeah.
And last week in a speech to Canadian Parliament, which is a silly place, the Canadian Conservative MP, Dr. Leslyn Lewis, really kind of revealed some disturbing truths, which we will fact check for you regarding Canada's assisted suicide. Sorry, wrong clip. Here is the appropriate one.
Last year, death by euthanasia increased by 30% from the year before.
Pretty close.
Every day in Canada, 36 people use MAID to end their lives, which is the highest in the world. Last week, I hosted a forum with Canadians who were disturbed by the expansion of Canada's euthanasia regime to include the mentally ill. This expansion isn't about compassion. It's a betrayal of the most vulnerable.
Now, of course, get your jokes out of the way as far as suicide. Like, ever spent a weekend in Winnipeg? Yes. Ever see a Leafs fan knowing they haven't won a cup in 77 years? Sure.
Yeah.
Of course, this includes a disproportionate number of former Expos fans. All of it, get it out of your system.
Yeah, Florida State fans right now.
You're better than that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're better than that.
Yeah, we are. So last year...
Don't talk about bad poutine.
We had poutine at McDonald's.
It stinks.
What?
Yeah, it stinks.
Oh, no. Oh no! Did you just hurt your neck?
Just insulted the poutine. You never insulted poutine.
We'll talk about this on Mug Club today, along with our review of Leo. But oh my gosh,
you're offended almost.
I regret the moving stipend to bring him.
Didn't somebody give you old poutine or old?
did, yeah.
Okay, so you didn't have real.
Oh, we'll talk about it.
Sorry.
Well, that's like me saying, I don't like steak because someone gave me an old steak. It's not an appropriate assessment. We're going to do, you know what? Write this down, Michigan. We're going to do a poutine taste testing.
Oh, there we go.
Here on this show. And I want an extra bit of penicillin in his. Now, so going back to the medically assisted, again, maid. They're not being killed by their maids, I'm sure.
That's such a weird acronym.
Yeah, I know.
Like taking out the trash, but you see the I is not capitalized, and so they're like medically assisted death, MAD.
Right.
I don't think we're going to go with the MAD campaign where people are pissed off dying. We're just taking out the trash, which is you in this case.
So they call it the MAID campaign, and Arnold said, "Can I have sex with it?"
No.
I use MAID to create life.
Yes.
Not to end it.
No, wait. I mean, that's not my son. He just looks exactly like somebody I once knew.
Hey, kid. Yes, Dad.
Not my son.
I mean, yes, my maid's employer. And Maria Shriver's just like, whatever. I don't.
This is a charade.
Why would they have sex with the ugliest thing that's ever lived?
Because it was there.
Yeah, it was there.
It was right there.
I was drunk.
It's like a microwave dinner for my dog. So, okay, let's get back to medically assisted suicide. So this is actually, though, this is shocking. Last year, the medically assisted suicide in Canada accounted for more than 4% of all deaths in Canada. That's from Canada.ca. .ca means it's a legitimate Canadian website because they refused to use .com. My home province of Quebec, where I was raised, 6.6% of all deaths are from medically induced suicide.
That's insane. Just under ice fishing, though, which was 7.3%. But, you know.
Yes.
Wow, that is surprising.
I don't even understand the ice fishing thing. It's like, oh, yeah, let's go out. Let's create a heat. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
6%. That's insane.
We've gone off topic too much. But ice fishing have a thing.
We like to derail here, too.
They also started in March, or they're going to, in March of next year. 2023, for those watching this now, 50 years from now in your time machine. We're in 2023. In 2024, MAID will be expanding this to include mental illness.
Wow.
So let me read this from you. It says this includes conditions that are primarily within the domain of psychiatry, such as depression and personality disorders. So now people will be able to kill themselves. And think about this for a second. We talk about the difference between a culture of death and a culture of life. And of course, the left says, her body, her choice, or it's completely inconsistent. And you just saw with Gavin Newsom, they will never name any type of restrictions to abortions up until and including sometimes after birth period. All right. But then we get to the idea of death panels and socialized healthcare, where really you're putting your hands in the life of government, whether you live or die, what kind of medical care you can get, because you are not paying for it yourself. You don't make your own decisions. It's the decision of the collective. And now we've gotten to the point, as far as a culture of death, let's just let people die. Let's just let people kill themselves. And let's expand it to mental health. Think about that for a second. Someone who is out of their mind because they have a mental health disorder is more likely to kill themselves, by the way, in a situation that's temporary, right? You alleviate the mental disorder, often you alleviate the suicidal ideation. Instead, the solution there is, you can kill yourself. It really does mirror the trans issue quite a bit, doesn't it? It's, hey, I'm really conflicted here. I feel like I'm suffering from body dysmorphia. Sure, rather than address the mental health issues, let's cut off your penis. Or let's sew up your vagina. Thank God we're not on YouTube today. It really is remarkably consistent, which you have to appreciate. And in Canada, by the way, this is already being used, for example, on the homeless and other vulnerable groups. So now we've expanded it to mental health. So let me give you a couple of examples. A 50-year-old man was afraid of becoming homeless, so he applied for MAID, basically to be offed. Right? He got one of 2 required doctor signatures for the approval, and then once he crowdfunded enough money, he retracted his application, his request. Think about that. This is the problem with suicide. It's a temporary it's a permanent problem to a temporary solution. You've heard that. Generally, cliches are useless. That's one that's incredibly true. In this case, the guy just needed a little bit more money.
Yeah.
Hey, in another case, maybe the guy needs a friend, mental illness. Maybe the guy needs someone who will hear his problems. Maybe the guy just had, his family members or his children killed in a car crash and he's depressed. Maybe there might be some kind of prescription that could help him. Maybe he needs some diet and exercise. Do you really think you're going to have doctors examining all of these issues before they sign off on assisted suicide? No, they're not. That's how you end up with over 4% of the population offering themselves at the hands of government.
That's insane to me. I think, didn't we cover that guy's story, the homeless guy?
Yeah.
Or the guy
that guy was afraid of becoming homeless.
So you
Who's
have
this
to
one doctor that's like, I hate homeless people?
Yeah, you should kill yourself. buddy.
Well, you think you might become homeless eventually?
Gross. Ugh, not on my streets.
Made pass.
Yeah. So
Let's
you
get
have to get the
prescription
doctor's
pills.
signature. You have to wait 90 days to get the second doctor's signature. He crowdfunded enough money in that 90-day window. If he had not crowdfunded enough, it's likely that he would have gotten the second signature and potentially gone through with it.
Right.
Like, that's just insane to me that you would allow a program like that, especially when we've talked about people who have some kind of depression or mental illness and not allowing them to make everyday decisions for themselves, much less the decision to kill themselves.
Sure.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Also, you don't need a government program for this. That's also, you are putting a stamp of approval on the culture of suicide. I mean, a bullet is cheap, a cliff is free.
Right, yeah.
It probably does cost a lot of money to do this properly.
Whether you agree with suicide ethically or not, look, you don't need government intervention at that point. But this is because they want you to know that this is their culture. Yeah. This is their ism. And this is why when people say, oh, ideology is a framework for the weak. No, you don't replace an evil ideology with no ideology, where I just take everything on an issue-by-issue basis. Well, how's that working out with people like Hamas, with ISIS? How's it working out in places like Canada? You have to fill that vacuum with something, ideally something productive, ideally something that centers around a culture of life.
Destroys.
Basically, where we find ourselves now, and we discussed this in 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, people would say, oh, come on, that's a canard. That this is being offered as an alternative to basic healthcare. Why? Because they have a strained healthcare system in Canada, despite what leftists try to tell you about socialized healthcare. And by the way, here's the newest ad circulating, which I think is in poor taste, on the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, CBC.
If you get the opportunity, you should kill yourself.
God damn.
Is life
I'm
getting
telling
you
you, True
down?
Detective
Call the
season
number
1.
on your screen.
Got
You
some
can
banger
do
memes
it,
in there.
but so can we. We're here to help.
I still take it over the commercials for pocket catheters.
You can do it, but so can we. That's the best line ever.
I want to go back to this too, because everyone made fun of any conservative said, well, you know what? You'll be dealing with things like death panels. Now, that was a term to mean you will be seated in front of a governing body from public servants.
They got an emperor.
Yes, exactly.
Nope. But it's just hemorrhoids.
I hate them. And homeless? No.
Gross. Bring in the maids.
Ew.
Yeah, bring them in.
Bring them in. All of them. The uglier, the better.
So scared.
Did you stop yourself?
I did.
Come on, hit it. You know you want to. Go.
Shut up!
We discussed these back then, and the left tried to glob onto the idea of death panel, saying, actually, Snopes or PolitiFact, fact check. The government has not proposed an official arm titled death panels. So that's not what we were saying, but in case you've forgotten, time machine, death panels, and them mocking conservatives as though that would never happen.
In a healthcare debate that's grown increasingly contentious, perhaps nothing has drawn as much controversy as the so-called death panels.
There are no so-called death panels.
Is he a liar?
He's not lying
There's fucking death
in that
panels.
those two words will not be found in any
I know when they're
of
saying
those
there's no such thing
thousands
as
of
death panels.
pages
There's fucking
of
death
different
panels.
variations of the healthcare bill. No, death panel isn't there. But he's incorrect and he is disingenuous.
There are no death panels.
Death panels is pure
Death panels.
demagoguery.
There's a guy walk in, give her a kiss. He said, Joey, what about these death panels? And I said, Mom, I'm trying to kill you.
Another thing he couldn't accomplish.
And I'll give you a few examples here of some stories in Canada, and then I'll give you some personal examples of family members who you can't necessarily know, but we can look at the actuary tables. We can look at the statistics regarding survival rates of serious diseases. And I had family members who, if they'd have gotten care in the United States, very likely could have lived, at the very least, extended their life, at bare minimum, I should say, increased their quality of life for the last years that they had. So let's go to an example here. No death panels, January 2023. There was this woman, Allison.
These are not the panels you were looking
Canadian,
for.
diagnosed with a rare form of aggressive cancer. She was told by Canadian healthcare that she wasn't a candidate for surgery.
You have a lifespan of what looks like to be 2 months to 2 years.
She says the surgeon told her she was not a candidate for surgery and chemotherapy would not be effective either. The advice?
Talk to your family, get your affairs in order, which was indicating, whether you want to have medically assisted dying or not.
So here's what happens. They say there aren't death panels, but there's a very lengthy process. Picture the DMV with terminal cancer.
Yeah.
So they told her that you'll have to get a consult with a Canadian surgeon. That wouldn't be until 60 days after she had been told that she had 2 months to 2 years to live. So you have to wait up until day one of potential life expectancy. She traveled to Baltimore for surgery. There's a doctor there who performs, I believe, surgery 2 times a week.
Well, this particular surgery, so it's not extremely rare. This guy does it twice a week.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, this doctor
Over
performs
100
surgery
a year.
twice a week. That's his
Just this
specialty.
one doctor.
I also, by the way, I had an aunt who this exact situation happened. She was diagnosed with lung cancer. Took her a long time to go in and get diagnosed. And then it was stage 4 at that point. And then it was I don't remember if it was 4 weeks, if it was 6 weeks, for a follow-up to determine the course of treatment. I don't know if you know this, but when you're at stage 4, any type of cancer, certainly fast-growing cancers, every minute there is precious. It seems like an eternity. Now, I'm not saying that she would have survived here, but hey, if it hadn't taken that long to get in and to be seen, would it have been stage 4? Hey, if it was, let's say, stage 3, and she didn't have to wait another 6 weeks, could they start on treatment more quickly, more aggressively? I know that here in the States, many people who've had what would be typically death sentences. I know a guy with pancreatic cancer still alive.
Yeah.
You know what? Hey, we treat our dogs better here than they treat human beings in Canada. Hopper, the dog that precedes Joe Louis, we put him in CHOP therapy and it extended his life by another, I think, 14 months.
Yeah.
Have any of you had that experience here with cancer or a terminal diagnosis, or even with a human or with a pet? Point is, that's not an option in Canada. The government tells you no. And then what's the cavalry coming over the hill? You hope that there are American doctors or a plane ticket. Let's go to February 2nd in 2022. This is somebody who...
Same lady.
This is the same lady? This is the same story. She received treatment in America 35 days after the stage 4 diagnosis.
Less than a month and nearly $200,000 later, D'Cluso made the trip to the Mercy Medical Center in Baltimore for hyperthermic intraperitoneal chemotherapy, or HIPAC.
$200,000.
$200,000.
Yeah. But in Canada, let me just clarify something. You'll know the answer to this because you did this super viral video a long time ago about Canada's healthcare system.
Mm-hmm.
If she wanted to get treatment in Canada, period, if they were like, hey, we're not going to cover it.
Yeah.
People in the United States are like, all right, you go out and you pay for it yourself.
Yeah.
Have that option really in Canada?
So we didn't when I was in Quebec, at least.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, there's a Supreme Court case, Chauhy versus Quebec. This was a doctor who people would be put into these waiting lines where they were going to die.
Yeah.
And he was actually performing some multitude of treatments. It was private practice. People were willing to pay. He was willing to see them. He was shut down. There was a Supreme Court case in Quebec where they said, actually, it's a violation of basic fundamental human rights, not civil rights, human rights to not allow a person to pay out of pocket to save their own life. And that opened up what we now would consider kind of a two-tiered system where they have super hospitals in Quebec, or as we know them in the States, hospitals, where you can pay clinics for care. And of course, only the super wealthy can afford them. So Canada, this $200,000, of course, would not reimburse this woman for her surgery, saying that the services you chose to receive in the U.S. would not have been the recommended treatment for your cancer diagnosis, meaning here in Canada, where their diagnosis was if you'd rather die, then you'd better do it.
A MAID brochure.
Yes.
Was their course of treatment.
Exactly. And here's actually Allison's diagnosis of Canadian healthcare.
Universal healthcare really doesn't exist. My experience is it's do-it-yourself healthcare and GoFundMe healthcare.
Yep. And let me ask, have you ever had people try and still convince you that universal healthcare, like in Europe or like Canada, is a good option here? Seems that's gone away a little bit.
Yeah,
we do have
a lot of them
problems
tend
here.
to
We
cackle.
absolutely do, because we have kind of a system that's a hybrid. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
There isn't enough of a relationship between patients and doctors. Insurance companies step in where they're not allowed to tell you the cash price if they know that you have insurance. There are a lot of problems. However, all that being said, if you have a terminal illness, the single largest contributing statistical factor in the likelihood of you continuing to breathe air is, do you live in the United States? I know you'll say, rich, poor, white, black, you are better in the United States, period, than Canada or our European counterparts. Your best shot at surviving cancer, for example, is here in the United States. It's not even close. We outrank Canada, UK on all major cancer survival rates. Most Europeans wait at least a month to see a specialist. Just to give you an idea. So in the US, it's about 27%. Norway, 61%. Sweden, 52%. We rank first in medical science technology. Right? 8 of the top 10 medical universities are in the United States. Our drug prices here subsidize all of Europe. So they can get some things cheaply and perform it poorly, but they wouldn't be able to do it if not for the United States. And that's with us having a broken system that does need reform. So I just want to be clear about this. I hope that you understand why we are looking at assisted suicide. It is an alternative to the shitty healthcare that the left wants you to implement here in the United States.
Yeah, and it's a direct extension of those kind of death panels that we talked about. People sitting there and going, you know what? The healthcare system that you have chosen to live under is terrible for a lot of things, but mostly when you need it most.
And
That's
you know
not what you would do.
If you search it later, I believe it's Slate or Salon. I believe Ginger Snap found this.
Oh,
where
yeah.
They
yeah.
said
I think it was Slate.
death panels are real, and that's a good thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they change it later on. It's like, no, this is what they do. Deny. And like, well, hold on a second, but there are death panels, but it's not what you're saying. And they say, okay, well, there are death panels, and that's a good thing. And then the next step is, well, hold on a second, we actually should just kill people if they're homeless or mentally ill. That's the sequence. Nearly all the time. No, hold on a second. Abortion is incredibly rare. I think abortion is terrible, but it needs to be safe, legal, and rare. That's, well, hold on a second, it's her body, her choice. And then it's, hold on a second, you have no say in whether it's viable or not. And then it goes to, you know what, let's keep the baby comfortable. It survives an abortion in some kind of a rubber room and let it die. That's where we end up. It's denied reality, gaslight you, then change the game, and then say, well, yeah, but what's wrong with you in not supporting this? And that's how you find yourself at the impasse of 4% of Canada being killed through suicide.
We have the Slate article, by the way.
Yeah, do you have it?
Pull it up right there.
Canada has death panels, and that's a good thing.
It's that from 2013.
Yep. And John Oliver uses them as a source, unironically.
Very good.
And you've known about, by the way, Gerald, the maid problem in Canada for a while.
I mean, I think I heard about it from, somebody somewhere. Yeah.
Joe, do you have a minute?
Yeah, come on in.
Thank you. I was wondering if I'm able to get a little bit of time off. My doodah died.
Your what?
My auntie. I've just been a little sad recently.
Would you maybe say depressed?
Maybe a little, yeah. It's very upsetting for me.
That sounds like a mental disorder to me, Sam. Hold on. Here. I have just the thing for you. Here you go.
What is this?
It's a plane ticket to Canada, my friend. You're going to get the best health care possible. Go ahead.
Okay.
Have fun, buddy. Yeah.
I don't know.
Hey, Gary.
Nice shirt.
Thanks,
It brings
man.
out your eyes.
I appreciate that. Hey, you like to travel, don't you, Gary?
You like to travel, don't you?
He's like Mr. Nice Guy, but he's Mr. Eugenics over here.
Watch Louder with Crowder live Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.
Show is muted. This is the thing, right? This is the craziness that you see, right? Where it's like, oh, no death panels, but yeah, death panels, but that's actually a good thing. You know what I mean? It makes no conceivable sense. You know what I mean? And at this point where the government's like, no, we're not actually going to give you the treatment because it's just more profitable if you die. And we're going to charge you, like, just even the mere concept where we're going to charge you money to unalive you. It makes no sense. Like, just think about that as society. It's like we charge citizens. We make things so fucked up and terrible that they don't want to live their life anymore, and then we charge them money. I mean, it's like the whole transgender thing. It's like once you really start thinking about it, you're like, these motherfuckers are like diabolical. Not even diabolical. Like like this whole thing of like where Crowder was talking about like evil. That shit is crazy. Do you know what I mean? And like you're kind of saying there, the whole thing is like no death panels, no death panels, no death panels. It's like, yeah, no, there actually is death panels, but that's actually a good thing. Do you know what I mean? Deny, and then when it's like undeniable, yeah, no, it is, but that's actually a good thing somehow. Do you know what I mean? It makes no fucking sense. And like I said, especially when you're trying to play the whole like, oh, we didn't know, or we were just ignorant, all this kind of shit. It makes no sense, people. You know what I mean? But as William's saying, folks, we shall see you tomorrow. Like I said, hopefully you like the new changes, the subtleties, the innovation, all this kind of stuff. We are going to be going into Emmet, so make sure you give him a like, make sure you give him a sub. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But other than that, I think there's only one thing left to say, folks. This is a damn good show.
That was a damn good show. For more damn good shows, click the video over there or the link in the description box. Oh, you getting pumped up. Don't forget to red pill the morons in the comment section below. This is all BS. It's all a bunch of lies for votes. Yeah.